entrepreneurs, and I was saying that, like, I hope you don't get upset. I hope you don't think, you know, I hope you don't get mad at me. And she's like, "Are you kidding me? You're my coach. I would never get mad at you. I need this push. I need this push." And I just really appreciate her, feeling that way and saying that, because sometimes I can come across a little assertively, and that everybody can't really handle, dealing with someone that has assertive energy. But I know that when people a lot of times start this business, they're used to being an employee. A lot of people who come across at least my desk, they are used to being an employee. And so the things that they're used to, the system, the rhythm, how they think, all of those things are not conducive to running a business. And I know that. And so it's like, it's my job to shift that thought process. And it's interesting when I am really loving and I'm like, "Oh my gosh," da 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 da. People do things, but it's not until that, I say something that's super shocking, or I use a curse word, or I say something to hurt their feelings, that they're like, "Ugh," you know, but then it starts to stick. So I like to start off very loving. Hey, listen, if you're going to be a boss, you've got to do this, and you've got to be able to show up in that way, right? So a good example, and then I'll dive into today's class, is like reading, just reading the email. Something so simple as reading the entire email. You would be very surprised how many people don't read. And then they'll come back and say, "Well, I don't know how to do it," or "Nobody told me how to do it," or "I don't know about that per se." And for me, it's very frustrating, not just because I want people to read the email, but because my first thought process is, how are you going to run a business if you can't read the email? It's like, what if that email was from the employer and it gave you your contract terms, or it was in regards to negotiating the money, or they needed to give you instructions to access something specific for the job, the role, for whatever? If you are unable to read your email to the coach that's going to help you get to that level of success, how can I be sure that you're going to read the email when you get, from the client? So these are the things that I am more concerned about. So yes, I start getting a little, like, did you read the email? I start getting a little more stern with people and have to, like, put that whip down a little bit, because I need, common sense, and not even common sense. I need you to be thinking at a different level, at an entrepreneurial level. So you got to read everything. You got to read the fine print. You got to make sure that you read the emails, read the instructions, write down your notes, things that are going to allow you to remember the things that are most important. Pull your calendar out. Today is Monday. We are talking about setting up your niche recruitment and staffing business. My name is Dee Williams, and I am on fire, as you can tell. I'm on fire, as you can tell. And I'm on fire because, listen, this week we are re-recording the Academy Live. I am so excited about that. As usual, some things aren't coming together exactly the way I want, but we're still moving forward because things are moving forward around us. And I just want to make sure that you all are ready. And I'm really excited to be still a part of the staffing industry during this transition. You know what I'm saying? So you're in the setup class. I go live before I do any live events. I always go live leading up to it because I want to invite you to become involved. But before we get into that and get into that conversation and all the things that I want to go through today and answer any questions that you all may have, I hope that you all have greeted yourself in the chat. I hope that you have here in my class. I hope you say good morning, just like we walk into any organization, any door. First thing we do is we say good morning. And I hope that you have done that as well. And then, yeah, I want to bring out all questions. Thanks, Byron. I appreciate you. I want to let you know that this class, I'm going to start my recording because I didn't record. I'm going to just start it again. Okay. I want to let you know that this class is really designed to answer your questions. This is all about you and your questions in regards to where you are in your staffing business. This class happens once a week. And I encourage you to take advantage of the class, use the class, answer the questions, ask questions now. Don't wait. Ask questions so that you can gain clarity because, I can teach stuff all day, right? But I really want to be here to support you with where you are right now in your journey. I want to say hi to everybody online. I don't want you to think that that I forgot you because I did not. Dr. Casper, I love you being here. I miss you so much. I was just thinking about you the other day. I'm Texas bound, so be ready. And I hope you and Dr. Rice are connecting and feeling each other's energy because and I think Sister was just there too. In Texas. I want y'all to get together and make sure that y'all stay connected and stay close as a community because that's so important. And then I got Sister in the house here. She already knows. She's saying good day to everyone. I really appreciate y'all for being here. So questions, answers. You have questions. I have answers. The door is open. While we're waiting for questions, and I'm going to just keep an eye on my class here. While we're waiting for questions, I talk to staffingpreneurs every day, most days, I would say. Even the days that I don't have them on my calendar, they're still probably texting me or emailing me and something like that, right? And I have an idea of where a lot of people are, and I want to just fill in some blanks and hopefully those will trigger some questions that you may have, but I'm going to fill in the blanks there and hope that'll help you. So first things first, people ask me, do I have to do all of the checklists that you provide before I actually can start and run the business? And I would say yes and no. Right? It really depends on how you're setting your business up. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, the checklist, I'm going to share my screen so everybody can see exactly what I'm talking about. So it's no question. Hold on one second. Hold on. Okay. Y'all already know how I be. Okay. So let me share. I got a different screen. I got my checklist up, but I shared the wrong screen. So hold on one second. Okay. So there we go there. And then let me go back and check and then pull the change over for you all because I don't want you to miss out on anything either. And I think I shared the wrong screen 1,000,000%. So, okay, perfect. And I have 3 screens over here. So you're like, where is she looking at? I'm looking everywhere because I got screens everywhere. Okay, this is where I want you to be. Okay, this is the checklist that I'm talking about. All right. This is the checklist that I'm talking about. This is the setup checklist. It is on Staffingpreneurs Academy, but if you're in my class or if you're in one of my coaching programs, you probably already have access to this checklist. This is your master checklist. Okay. This checklist is going to keep you organized. Now, I have to tell you, this checklist has been written out in a number of different ways because people want to receive the information in different ways. It doesn't matter. The core checklist is here. This is the checklist that you want. And these are all the categories that you want to cover to ensure that you're set up appropriately and that you are compliant. right? Some things, like when we get down to programs, audits, compliance reviews, some of those things you're not going to be able to create immediately. That's what I meant when I said yes and no. Some of those things it's gonna take a month or two. It's gonna take time of you engaging in your business before you start to complete some of those things. So there will be items that you will not be able to complete immediately because you need to actually work in the business in order for you to generate that. But I have templates and all of that stuff set up for you so that you understand, okay, these are things that I need. And the things that I don't provide to you is that are templates. Like say that you're not in the academy or what have you. I show you how to create a lot of these things using AI, right? I give you more leverage because I'm not going to be around forever. I mean, you call me, but I'm not going to be around forever. So I want to make sure that you have as much leverage to be able to create freely, right? As much as possible. So a few things that I want to touch on today. So is go through the checklist, make sure that you have gone in, checked off what you have, what you don't have. And whatever it is that you do not have and you have a question about, that's what I'm here for. Like all you got to do is say, D, I don't know what this is. D, how do I do this? D, that's what this class is for. So it's not for y'all to wait till you text me or wait till you call me. Like that's not what you paid for. You paid for this. I mean, of course, the academy, the learning and all of that stuff, the courses, but the live classes, where's that? And then y'all be so shy. And then when I talk to you individually, you're like, I wanted to ask, but I didn't want to. Like, come on, that's what the class is for. And when you ask questions, you're actually helping other people because they may have very similar questions. Okay. Okay, so that's the first thing I wanted to tell you. The checklist is very, 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 very important. Okay. The second thing I wanted to go through was this pricing structure. So you are my newbies. You are about to get started. And I have to tell you that as I'm working with staffingpreneurs who are acquiring their first contract, or they're coming to me because they have a couple of contracts, but they're not making any money or enough money, rather, right? Either or. I want to talk to you about this calculator and why you should be utilizing it every day to help you understand how you want to grow this business. Because in my mind, you want to reverse engineer your business model, right? You want to think about, okay, what's my financial goal? What's my impact goal? And how do I get there? If I'm already here, what does that look like for me visually? Because you cannot achieve something without a vision. Does that make sense? I don't know if that made sense. You can't achieve something without a vision. That's why we talk about reverse engineering. You've got to have the vision first. That's a part of reverse engineering, having the vision. What does it look like? So I want to start a staffing agency. Okay, great. What does that look like? I'm placing people. Okay, what does that look like? Have you envisioned your agency? Do you know what your agency looks like? Are you virtual? Do you have an office? Are you one location? Are you 10 locations? Are you domestic? Are you international? How many employees do you have? What type of technology are you using? What's the culture? What's the energy? How are you engaging with your staff? Whether it's your internal staff and or your external staff. What does your day look like? How do you look? How are you dressed? How are you showing up? Right? All of those things. That's the vision. And then where are you in the industry? Where are you in the marketplace? Where does your company land in that space? Right? Are you a $1 million company, or you're a $10 million company, or $100 million company, or you're a $1 billion company? There are $1 billion staffing agencies out there. Okay. I like to use, you already know, Perplexity AI is one of my favorite ones, especially when we're talking about research, because it looks at a lot of different things, the web, academic, social, right? So I want to go in and ask, please, I would just say list 25. Let's see if this is even possible. Staffing agencies that are generating $1 billion or more. Now I took the long way by typing it out. I probably should have just audioed that in, but I just took the long way. So I just want to show you that there are a number of, if they can do it, you can do it, right? I don't know of $1 trillion staffing agency, but I know there are $1 billion staffing agencies. So, and that's billions. That's not even millions or multi-millions. And some of you are a one-person firm. They started out as a one-person firm. Some of you have this idea. They started out with an idea and now they have gotten so far. So this thing is still searching. It's literally going through the SEC. That's why I love Perplexity when it comes to research, and because it still uses Google, but it has all of these other areas of research that it's going into. I love it. And I didn't even do the deep research, just FYI. So point taken, y'all should be using AI as much as possible in your business until otherwise noted, right? So the vision, and this is going back to the vision, and then I'm going to go back to the calculator and the services, because this all comes together. Like, what's the vision? Where are you going? And it's not all just about money. I just want to say that it's not only about money. It's also about what type of impact you're creating, right? What are you actually trying to accomplish with your staffing agency? Especially if you're going to be a niche staffing agency, you are trying to accomplish something, right? In that particular space. If it's healthcare, maybe it's to increase quality patient care. That's why you're really putting the nurses to work. You're not putting the nurses to work just to earn $1. You can do that by taking shifts, right? But apparently you see a need. You see there's a shortage. You see that maybe there are nurses that aren't out there performing at the level that they should be performing. You see organizations that are looking to have greater patient care. Like, this is something that you're trying to accomplish. You know what I'm saying? Something that you're trying to accomplish with your staffing agency. So you have to have a vision beyond just the financial. What is my impact goal? How am I creating impact? Can I help increase patient care? Can I help reduce nurse burnout? Can I help, whatever the case may be? And I'm just using healthcare for an example because I just have a lot of nurses and doctors as clients, but that is the real question. Davita asks, like, what is a realistic financial goal for your first year running a staffing business if you're starting out as a one-person firm? And I would say that 100% depends on like your ability to execute. And the reason why I'm answering it in this way is because everyone is different. And when I say what's realistic to one person may not be realistic to someone else, and vice versa. So I've had people who started the business and day one got contracts, and made $1 million the first year or 2.5 million. I haven't seen anybody make more than 5 million in their first year as one person, but I've definitely seen one person make 4 million in a year. That's not something as one individual, only one person working in a company, 4 million in a year, right? But that's not the norm, right? I think the norm is somewhere between 250,000 and 1.5 million. And again, that is depending on how you engage with the business. Some of the things that people don't do, which doesn't get them to those numbers, they don't have enough activity in their business. They're not calling enough. They're not emailing enough. They don't have any strategies. They don't have any real strategies. They're just doing things that they think they should be doing, but they don't have any real strategies. They're not building real relationships. They're not understanding how to manage their time to build relationships. Those are just small things, not organized, not following up. The fortune is in the follow-up. It's not in the first phone call. Typically it's in the follow-up, So it's all about your grind. There are people who will work 10 times harder for someone else and then won't work for themselves. And so, they'll say, okay, well, I've got to keep my job and I'm going to work this business. And they go to work and they put all their time, energy, love, and everything into that job. And then they come home and then they don't have enough time for the business. And then when they don't have time for the business, then essentially, the business doesn't make as much, or it doesn't do as much, or whatever however you want to say it, right? So that's very important for you to understand. That's why it's always great to have a vision and then to reverse engineer that vision. So again, if I'm a nurse and I'm saying I want to increase patient care, the quality of patient care over the next 10 years, and I'm going to do that by becoming $100 million staffing agency in the next 10 years, we now have something to work with, and we can reverse engineer that backwards. And then you can even define what your financial goal is going to be every year, right? Realistically. But the question is, what are you going to put into the business? And I'm not speaking to you specifically, Davida, but I'm just saying to anyone watching, what energy are you putting into the business to see the outcome that you're looking for? Okay. And now I am still sharing my screen, I believe. And I just wanted to show you, these are 25 companies that have generating over $1 billion, or at least 24. So maybe it's 24 companies here, but Randstad, and this is just in the United States. This is, this is worldwide. Randstad, they're in the Netherlands, but they're they're big business here in the US. Randstad, Adecco Group, Manpower Group. Look, Randstad 25 billion, Adecco Group 20 billion, Manpower Group 17 billion, Allegis Group 12 billion, Recruit Holdings 11 billion, Hayes 8.7 billion, Robert Half International 5 billion, G Group, I think it's a Geo guy, I'm not familiar, 4.8 billion, Kelly Services 4.4 billion, ASGN Incorporated, 4 billion, Synergy, 3 billion, Korn Ferry, 2.7. And Korn Ferry, just for anybody who doesn't know, is an executive search firm. They do mainly executive search. Now, they have expanded over the years, but they are known for executive search. This is an executive search firm, or at least that's how they started out at 2.7 billion, is diabolically crazy, okay? So for anybody out there that's like, I don't think I can scale on executive search, like, think again. I just want to throw that out there. True Blue, I think they do consulting now too, but that's a great story right there. True Blue, 1.57 billion. K-Force, 1.3 billion. And then getting into more of the HR services and payroll companies, because under these companies, I guess it's $14 billion companies. But, I feel like there are things that are missing, to be honest with you. So let me ask this question. Geez, Steve Williams. Because I'm almost sure it is. Like AMN Healthcare, I think they're like 13 billion or something like. Or I don't want to, because I can't remember. But all of them, cross country, yeah, I'm almost sure they're $1 billion staffing agencies. And so, but I didn't see them on this list. So I'm assuming, I'm making an assumption that they're just going down, down the list of non-healthcare lists, like this generalist or what have you. So I want to just confirm that, because I want to, and if not, that's cool. They're still probably doing hundreds of millions, which some of y'all have not made your first million. So 100 million or 500 million is probably, better than no millions. But this would give you an opportunity to shoot for the $1 billion mark. But I can tell you, yeah, I already know. I was getting ready to say, I already know. Aya, 8.87 billion, Medical Solutions, 3.3, AMN Healthcare, 3 billion, CHG Healthcare, 2 billion, Emergis, 2.48 billion, Cross Country, 2 billion. So yeah, I already knew that. And a lot of you nurses out there are probably, familiar or have worked for some of these companies and contributed to their wealth. Now you're creating your own wealth. Congratulations. Congratulations. So, yeah, U.S. healthcare staffing generated 47.3 billion in total revenue in 2023, with top 100 firms accounting for approximately 88% of the market. So it's all about having the opportunity is there. So let's start there. The opportunity is there. It's, what are you willing to do? What type of energy are you willing to put in? What type of work are you willing to put in to create the business that you want? And you can absolutely do that. And it starts with your little small market. If you're here and you've been in my coaching program, we start even in this class setting up your target 100. It starts with 100 companies that you're going to focus on, literally building strategies to connect with them, to engage with them, have them engage with you, to build real relationships, and to get a piece of your market, right? That doesn't mean you won't talk to everybody else. That's your generalist market. You already know that. And you're going to go and you're going to market and, with other ways, and you're going to do other things to engage them and have them coming on board. But your target list is where your goal is. And when you're structuring your day, your time in your day, you're going to work on pipelining. You're going to work on recruiting. You're going to work on your target list, engaging with lead generation and doing things like that. And then you're going to also recruit, and you're going to sell. So all of those things have to happen typically in a day in some way. So you're going to become very organized until you're able to expand your team. Now you may have your day structured where, okay, every day or 3 days a week, I do this, 3 days a week, I do that, 2 days a week, I focus on this. But you got to have that. You got to be interviewing people internally, so that you can have a network of your own to grow your staff, so you can spend an hour a week doing that or 2 hours a week doing that. But then you want a pipeline, and you should do that every day. Spend an hour a day pipelining, just reaching out to people, connecting with people, talking to people. Then you should have things on your calendar, right? So your calendar should be structured in a way that you have interviews on certain days, maybe your 15-minute interviews, your 30-minute interviews, or what have you. Then you're going to have time on your calendar where you're going to do lead generation. Now, some things are going to be automated. If you're in my program, we show you how to automate a lot of things in advance, right? So if you can get your automation up now, and get your strategies and your lead magnets and your digital assets and different things like that set up in the beginning, when you're running the business, those automations are automatically running in the back end. So when you're doing a lot of your lead generation, you're really pulling from things that you've already put into place, right? And excuse me. And so you won't have to go out so much to look, because hopefully you've got leads coming in. Now, you still may have to go out, and you still may outsource some of your lead generation, or you might have somebody on staff that's supporting you with your lead generation. But those things have to happen. And then you've got to recruit. So you're going to have time on your calendar or days on your calendar where you recruit. And then you're going to have time where you're going to want to engage with the hiring manager, not from a lead generation perspective, but your clients. And as you're doing all of these things, you're pretty much preparing yourself to hire, to replace yourself in these particular roles. So when you're doing these things, it's very, very important to understand that you are ground level one. That's why your vision is so important. You're layer number one, and everything that you're doing is in the manner in which you want to hire someone to do on your behalf. It's like you're creating the standard for your business, right? How you want it done. So you're going to document things. This is where you're going to go crazy. This is where you got to put in more work than you want to now, so that later on you can relax. But you're going to document everything, right? You're going to record videos and say, so that you can start putting your training together. I want you to do this, 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 this. If you're in this role, these are the tasks you're going to do. And you're going to start putting your videos together. Like, you're going to really start building this business piece by piece by piece. And as you're doing things, you're going to realize like, oh my gosh, I should add an extra onboarding letter there. Let me go and write an onboarding letter. And I'm going to record the video and tell the person, okay, now you're going to create the onboarding letter when they come in. And this is what my expectation is. Then you're going to add it to your performance metrics if it's something that needs to be tracked. Then you're going to come back and continue to do the job, and you're going to work on the job a little bit more. So in the beginning, your ramp up is going to be a little bit slower because you're really documenting out each process and making sure that you have a clear understanding of how the person that you need to hire is going to maintain those roles. And that way you can start really editing and curating your job descriptions that you have pipelined for your internal positions. You can start really customizing them and making them really real to your business, right? And when you're ready financially, when you're ready to hire your first person, you already got your training. You already got everything set in order. You know exactly how you want them to done, how you want things to be done. You'll be able to train them with ease and then take that off your plate and now focus on managing the other parts of the business and perfecting those parts of the business so that you can replace those people while also managing your new person to ensure and measuring their activity and measuring their outcomes so that you can ensure that that work is getting done and it's helping to scale the company versus put a harder burden on you. Does that make sense? Hey, Olivia, does that make sense? I don't know if that made sense, but that's how I need you to have even just to start your vision. Like, what does this look like? How's the business moving? A lot of you don't even have a vision. You're just like, okay, I started the business. No, it takes more than just declaring that your business has started. It takes more than just having a website and legalization. No, that those are lies that people are telling you online. I'm just going to keep it real with you. Those are lies. And when they tell you that it's that easy, that means that they're not digging into the business from this aspect. You're not building this business to run the business your entire life. You're building this business to hire people so that you can live the life that you want to live, so that you can be the boss, the owner, make the money and all of that stuff, right? But another reason why I want this to sink in today, and I hope that this has been very valuable for you, is because at some point things may not work the way you want them to work. I'm not saying you might shut your business down, but you might shut a department down. You might shut a service down. You might have to fire a whole team because they're not producing appropriately. And then you're going to have to go back to, okay, what do I do? This is square one. This is base level. I'm going to go in, do the role that I want done, document how I want it done, and then go back and hire and then figure out how and what I need to measure in the process. Now, if it's related to anything related to staffing and the business model, we show you all of that stuff. But you still got to bring your own twist to it. These billion-dollar companies are doing the same thing in only a few instances, okay? The process, the general process, right? But they all have their own flair to them. You always hear me talk about the movie Coming to America, where the guy had McDonald's, which was a play on McDonald's, right? He was trying to be exactly like them. That's not what you're looking to do. That's why you're taking the time out in your business right now. That's why I love my Elite Scale class. Well, it's not a class. It's like a one-on-one coaching program. I love it because I get to work with people one-on-one and we really get to customize their journey. You know what I'm saying? Their business model and to figure out, okay, how am I going to really implement this? You're in a space right now where I feel like staffing is very competitive, but it's also at the most rewarding space because we're at a space and time where anything is possible. You can do anything with your business. And you should be thinking in that way. You know what I'm saying? And so, okay, I'm getting too fired up. Everybody online commenting. Davina said yes, right? Then you got people, Susan, she's like, indeed. Then she said, D, it takes work, reading, studying, planning, brainstorming, executing, failing, trying again, learning, training. Then I'm going to add on to that, failing, trying again, trying again, succeeding. Like some people are afraid of succeeding, or some people get to a level of success and fail because of the overwhelming, like, oh my gosh, I did it. And then some people get up there and go even harder. But the thing is you got to be prepared for everything. And most of the time, things don't work exactly the way you want. Like I would say 99% of the time, things don't work out the way I will have my vision. Now, let me say this. I'll get to my vision, but it don't happen in the way that I think it's going to happen. That's the better way of saying it. I always hit my goal because I'm a winner, okay? But how I get there doesn't always correlate with what's in my mind, right? Sometimes I feel like the universe, God, energy, whoever, whatever you believe, will take me down a path to where I need to know something, or I'm being prepared for something in the future, especially if I have a big goal. So like, for example, I'm going to have a real conversation with you. The first time that somebody threatened to sue me, I was like, oh my gosh, I could have shit in my pants, right? I was just like, this is horrible. And, I was freaking out and different things like that. And my attorney pulled me to the side and he was like, what's your vision again? So then you say, your goal is to generate, whatever my goal was at the time, some probably billions, millions, whatever the case may be. He said, you think you're not going to get there by being sued? What? You think you're not going to get sued? You think you're going to skate on that way without? And I was like, oh, I didn't think of it that way. It's like, yeah, I mean, this is a part of the dream. This is a part of the dream. It's what you do with what comes your way. And then I started realizing like, oh, okay, this makes sense. That's what you got me on staff for. That's what you got me. And so that's why when I tell my staff entrepreneurs, go get your attorney, because it's not just about protecting you, but other people are out here that are malicious, and they're trying to get their bag. So you want to be prepared, but mentally, are you also prepared? So it's a lot of things that can definitely happen, in your business on the way to hitting your 10-year impact goal, your 10-year financial goal. But you got to still have the vision in order to get there. When you get in your car, you have a destination of where you're going to. You ain't just driving. You don't just get in the car and just drive. Even when I'm hungry and I'm indecisive and don't know what I'm looking for, I'm driving around with the expectation of actually ending up somewhere, right? And I have that vision in my head. Wherever I'm going to end up, I'm going to be putting food in my mouth, okay? So you got to have a destination, and that's what the vision is about, okay? And now that you are now, and I'm going to go through the comments before I go into this, because this leads back to the services that you offer, because I kind of given you an idea of what your day looks like, how you want to structure the business. I know this was helpful. I know a lot of y'all are going to go back and watch the replay, and the replay is on YouTube. The replay is on LinkedIn. The replay is on Facebook. It will also be in the academy. Okay. But I really want to give you perspective, because I'm working with a lot of people that I genuinely believe in. And that I believe in and that I know are going to do amazing things. And then I'm also working with people who have hit a certain number. Like a lot of my clients who hit like the 1.5, 2.5, $3.5 million mark are at a place where they're ready to scale. But they have now become extremely comfortable where they are. So scaling is not so easy. I got to get out of my comfort zone. Sometimes you got to take them back to the basics. You all are at the basics. So you should be taking everything in right now. Don't get overwhelmed, but understand that this is a version of yourself that you are not familiar with. So you've got to be patient with yourself. You have to be patient with yourself. Entrepreneurship it can be homegrown, but it can also be learned. You understand? Good morning, Dr. Rice. It can be learned. So you really have to understand. First, you got to be patient with yourself. You got to love yourself, but you got to understand. You got to show up as another version of yourself, not as the version of yourself that's going to work every day, not the version of yourself that's taking care of your husband and your kids and all of those, not the version of yourself that's the good daughter, the good girlfriend. We don't need that version. We need you to curate a version that is very specific to you being a billionaire, to you being a $1 billion staffing agency owner, a staffingpreneur, for you to be living a different lifestyle in regards to what your position is, your thought leadership in the industry. Who are you? How do you show up? That's why when my staffing, I get mad. Well, I just get fired up for a minute. When my staffingpreneurs do not get dressed for work, I get so mad. I don't care if you're working from home. Get dressed. At least make your upper part cute. So when you're engaging with, like, get up, get a shower, get your makeup on, put a cute shirt. I got on leggings. I mean, I'll show y'all. So I am like not fully dressed. So I got on leggings, but I want a little shirt on, y'all. Well put together. Like, get up and get dressed and show up as the individual, that next version of yourself that you're desiring to be. Show up as that person. You can't be that person until you show up as that person. Does that person make up their bed every day? Is that person engaging with people every day? Is that person building relationships with the people that they want to do business with every day, or people that they want to mentor them every day? What are you doing differently that you wouldn't do as an employee? How are you showing up for yourself as an entrepreneur, as the boss, as the owner? And I'm telling you, when you start feeling that energy and you start living in that energy, everything around you will start to crumble and to come to life. But it'll start to do it in a way where it affirms who you are. And when it begins to affirm who you are, you will see the difference in your business. You will see the difference in everything. People are going to start looking at you different on the street. Like, I swear, you're going to be like, why are they staring at me? And it's because you show up differently, because you're showing up as this next version of yourself and not as the version that's clocking in. Okay? Did I just get fired? I got so fired up. The comments are going crazy right now. The comments are going crazy, okay? Sister said, I'm grateful for the things you prepared me for. Thank you very much. I love the work that I do. Susan said, I'm just starting, currently waiting for licensing to go through in Florida. But girl, you get me so fired up and I'm excited for the future. You already know I got to get my scream in there, okay? High five, high five, high five. Susan said, I just don't get it. People get cute and good smelling to make someone else money, but look like a homeless while they're growing their legacy. Come on with it. Preach that thing, girl. That's the truth. You trying to grow your legacy and you looking like a daggone bum. You ain't even trying to get dressed in the morning. How you showing up? How are you? Who are you? What's the vision? You've got to set that up in the setup phase. You don't do that after the business is live. It's like, now, who are you? Where are you going? What are you trying to accomplish? And how do you show up in that way? And for some of you, you got to flip that switch on and off. When you go to work, you got to turn it off. Because if you get too mighty, they're going to fire you. So you're going to have to tone it down when you get to work. But the moment you walk out that door, that head better go up high, those shoulders back. I want you to have your briefcase. If you're a nurse, take your briefcase into the office with you. Because when you walk out that door, that's stride. Hey! Y'all know what I'm talking about. That CEO stride. That I'm my own boss stride. That I'm only here for a moment stride. Because you're like, come on. You clicking on that next version of yourself. And if you're working for yourself, you should be waking up that way anyway. You should be walking that way anyway. There's not a place in LA that sees me on a consistent basis that if I don't have my MacBook, they're like, what's going on? Alien version? Where you at today? You on vacay? Because I always have my laptop or a book. I got either or, a laptop or a book, right? Because that version of me is there. Okay, the employee version of me is sitting at home watching Housewives of Atlanta. I'm going to just keep it real with you. When I was an employee, Housewives, Kardashians, I like reality TV, but as an entrepreneur, as an owner, that's not my priority. My priority is showing up a certain type of way for my clients, for my candidates, being able to show up for myself a certain type of way, being able to show up for my family. We're about to plan our family reunion. I'm really excited about that because we haven't had a family reunion in forever. But I already know that no matter who comes together on the family reunion committee, like, it's going to be me at the end of the day that's going to make sure that this family reunion goes exactly the way it's supposed to. right? So being able to say that you got that is yours. I got it. I got it. Like those are things that's the next version of you. And so that vision is everything. So let's talk a little bit about this vision because I'm stealing all of y'all time. And I just, y'all got me so fired. I know y'all can see the fire coming. Like I'm so fired up this morning. So a lot of you are not really identifying your services. And I need you to be a little bit more specific about your services. And when I say that, I mean that in with love, right? Yes, you're going to do contract staffing. Yes, you're going to do direct hire. Some of you will do other things, around that. But, what are your services? Okay. Now, hear me out. Most of you don't take the time to even name your service. So what are your services and what's the name of your service? It does not have to be contract staffing. That's what the service does. But what's the name of the service? Like, and what I guess what I'm trying to say is like, if you are in a nonprofit or you're a sorority or fraternity or a church, you're on an auxiliary or group or whatever, you're on somebody's planning committee, y'all are doing all of these things to be very detailed and to make sure that things look a certain way. But in your business, I get these funky ass pricing sheets from people where they just taking my words exactly and duplicating my words and putting no thought into the pricing, no thought into their services, no thought into anything. It really drives me batshit crazy. I'm not even going to lie, because I'm thinking like, you are an entrepreneur. This is how you want to present your pricing, right? So you have to understand what your services are. Those services should have a name, right? They should have a description. A professional description. They should have a pricing structure. You should understand how the service is delivered, what the process is. You are the creator of this company. Do I need to say it any louder? You are building out this company. And if you don't know and you don't understand, that's what you hire me for. That's what you go and hire a coach for. But you are the creator of the company. So when I get these pricing sheets, yes, now I'm fussing again. Okay. When I get these pricing sheets, I expect to see your lines of service, the name of your service, the service described, maybe some direction on, I would like for it to be designed a certain way. We do design our clients' pricing sheets, but most people don't even have a design pricing sheet. They're sending them out on a Word document or a plain PDF. Like, how are you showing up for your company? How is your company showing up for you and your candidates, to your employers? Okay. So just services. Should they also be listed on your sales sheet? I believe so. Not your pricing, but your services. That is going to require you to take the time to sit down and say, okay, what are my services? What do I really want to offer? And then I want to say something else about that. A staffing agency is the idea of a staffing agency is really umbrella. I want you to think umbrella, because with a staffing agency, you can have contract to hire, travel, PRN, direct hire, executive search. You can have a lot of different things under that staffing agency umbrella, or you can just be a company that does each one of these things individually, right? Like only do direct hire, only do executive search, only do temporary staffing or contract staffing, right? Or only consulting. But the reason that you are a staffing agency is because you can offer a number of things under that umbrella and really be a one-stop shop in so many ways around a specific group of people for a specific market, right? Okay. So with that being said, some of you are very conservative about what you're offering. One of the main reasons that I market to people who actually do the job is because they know the work better than everyone else. So I could easily market to recruiters, okay, and say, recruiters, start your own staffing agency. And I don't mind working with recruiters, but I purposely market to nurses to start, or doctors to start, or project managers to start, or software developers to start, because you understand the work in a way that a recruiter never will. right? And because you understand the work, you should be able to customize your staffing agency in a totally different way than a company who's never done the work before. Like these billion-dollar companies up there at the top, they got these billion-dollar companies, but they may have never been a nurse before. They may have never been an IT person before. They just had the finances and the idea. So they can only go but so far. They can only go as far as the staff that they hire. But you have an idea. You are the nurse. You are the doctor. You are the project manager. So there are things, there's terminology that you should be adding in, there are services that you should be adding that only you know that are needed. Every last one of you should have training and consulting, because every last one of you are an expert in something that you do in your role. Now, you might not be an overall expert nurse where you're the top queen nurse of all nurses, but maybe you chart better than every other nurse. Maybe you IV drip. I don't know. I'm speaking jargon. I don't know things I don't know, but maybe you do something that is exceptional to you, and that you feel like that's what other people, that you can offer those services, or other people can benefit from that knowledge or your expertise. You should be having a training division. You should be having a coaching, a consulting division, because when we're in a time of change, right? You don't know what's going to be the thing that's going to tap someone on the shoulder. You don't know what's going to be the thing that allows you to get in the door. I don't want you to just try to get in the door through staffing. That is a means and a way, and you will do that. But sometimes to get in the door, you got to go through another door first. So sometimes you got to do training, and them to feel your training, the energy of you training, for them to see, okay, there's value in this. Well, can you help us get other people in like this? Now you've opened the door to staffing. So sometimes walking in that door may not be directly through staffing. Maybe it's through consulting. Maybe it's through your consulting services. If you've done something in your day job that you're exceptional at, and now you started a staffing agency, you need to add consulting onto that, because now you can support other people in that space. And then when you get in the door, consulting is even more lucrative, right? You just added another, because now you can bring other people in under your consulting division, and you can sell your staffing division, and you can sell your direct hire division, and you can sell your executive search division, and you can sell your coaching and training division. And if you're taking my class, you're doing something with technology too. You're doing something with AI and technology too, because you will not be left behind. So it's like, where are you at? What's the vision? What services are you offering? What are you putting out there? And then once you figured out what services you're offering, you got to come back in and go back to that reverse engineering. Okay, so my goal was 100 million in 10 years. I'm reverse engineering that backwards. So my year one, I want to do 1.5 million. If I'm going to do 1.5 million, and I've got two core services. One of my services is direct hire, and the other one is contract staffing. How do I get to 1.5 million? How many placements do I need to make? How do I structure my wins? Okay, so I already know direct hire is not my sweet spot. So I only want to do 2 direct hire placements per month. So who do I need to place, and how much do I need to place at 2 direct hire placements per month? This gives you perspective, right? So let's just say, you're doing 65, or somebody that's making 75,000 a year. I'm just throwing that out there. And you're charging your 20%. That's 15,000. You place one person per month at 75K, 20% fee. You're at 180,000 a year. Now, this model is the direct hire model. You might get with someone who says, I don't like that direct hire model, and I'm not willing to do business with you under that direct hire model because that don't feel good to me. But you need to make 180 this year. So why don't you take that 180, that number, and reverse engineer that for the client? But that's a whole nother topic. We'll get into that later. That's a whole nother class. Okay. But I'm just throwing it out there. So now you're like, okay, so now let's just go. I'm going to throw this back, and I'm going to say 50 just to make it even right there. And then let's just do 80 because the average salary is around 80. So you've done almost 408,000 this year, right? Almost 408,000 just placing 2 people per month, right? 2 people per month. One at 50,000, one at 80. You've done 480. This is a service, right? What is the service called for you? We know what it's called in staffing, but what is it called for you? What's the cute name you've designed for? How does it relate to your secret sauce or your proprietary? I don't know. Like, what's the service? And how are you presenting? And how you going to reverse engineer so that you can get to your 1.5 million goal or your 2.5 million goal? Who's fired up right now? Hello. Come on with it. Hello. Come on with it. Listen. I'll answer your question in 2 seconds, Susan. Thank you for engaging. I appreciate that. Thank you, Davida, for engaging. I appreciate that. Now, I want you to remember your number, your 408,000. That's what you're going to do in your direct hire. That's what you're going to push for. That's why you want a pipeline and get to know people and talk to people, and not just talk to the people that you want to do business with, but you got to talk to the people who have relationships with the people that you want to do business with. Okay. Really sharp recruiters do not ever post a job. I promise you. The best recruiters don't post. The best recruiters do not post. The best recruiters don't post. The best recruiters don't post. They might post for search engine optimization, but the best recruiters are out there having conversations. They're talking to people. They're engaging with people. They're meeting people. They're putting the pieces together, okay? And then they're delivering exceptional talent to organizations. So we've got the 408 in the direct hire side. Now we've got the contract side. Now this is a 65% markup. Some of you are unable to do that. Many of you are, okay? But I don't want to see anyone below 45%, okay? Because you still have to pay the bills. And not only do you have to pay the bills, but you also have to grow the organization so that you can become a better solutions provider for these organizations. Listen, people are going to try to make you feel a way about your pricing and your markup and different things like that. I can't tell you what the markup is on a Mercedes-Benz. I can't tell you what the markup is. In Beverly Hills, like, listen, I was in Beverly Hills. I stopped at the gas station because I wanted some Jolly Ranchers. Everybody that know me know I like candy, right? So I wanted to stop and get me some Jolly Ranchers. And where I live at, the Jolly Ranchers for the little bag is $2.49. And I live in a pretty nice neighborhood, but it's $2.49. You go to Beverly Hills, it's $5.99. I looked at the guy and I said, no, for real. Why? He said it's Beverly Hills. The markup on that was insane. But, people are buying, and I bought it. People are buying, so you don't really know the markup. Now, I'm not saying that you're there to take advantage of people. That's what happened during COVID. A lot of people came in, didn't even get coaching, started a business, just was offering candidates because we were in a really bad space and they were overcharging, and it made companies feel disgusting. It made them feel nasty, and it made them dislike staffing agencies because we had people come and infiltrate the industry who weren't really here for the right reasons, right? And that hurt us. It hurt us. It hurt us bad. But now we gotta get our position back. And so our markup, the industry standard is around 65%. You can do more, you can do less. Don't go below 45%. And the reason you want to stay in this space is because you want to be able to pay the bills. You want to be able to profit, but you also want to be able to expand your organization so that you can provide better solutions, okay? Provide better candidates, get a wider reach, market more, market better. So any company that's sniffing their nose up to your markup, ask them, do you value the service that I bring? We're only able to bring this service because of this markup. This markup allows us to go out and get better talent for you so that you don't have to worry about that. This, you understand, you've got to sell your markup. So anyway, that's our markup. Let's say the person is making $30 an hour. There we go. Then you're going to bill them about bill the hiring manager about $49 an hour. You're going to make about a $12 gross profit margin. Your gross profit margin percentage is kind of low there. I like to see a 32%, but we're on a markup over pay rate model and not a gross profit margin model. So you're going to do 12.32 an hour, one person on billing, working 40 hours a week is roughly $500 a week, $2,000 a month, $25,000 a year. You got to keep that person on billing. And if you don't keep them on billing, or you cannot keep them on billing, then you got to replace them. But you got to keep one person on billing at that pay rate or higher all year round. So that has to be your goal, your main goal in life. And so when you get your next 2, 3, 4, 5, you want to keep 5. So if somebody falls off, you got to replace. If 3 people fall off, you got to replace those 3 people before you can increase your 5. So the goal, so even if you only did 5 consistently for the year, you're going to do roughly 128,000. The goal is 25, which you can absolutely do for the entire year. That'll get you about 640,000. And you add that 640 with the 408 and you're at $1 million business. Period. So now you've got a mission. And you might be saying that's not enough. So then you might have to change your positions or what you want to do with your position. So you might say, okay, well, we're not going to do those low end positions on the direct hire. We're only going to do the 80K on the direct hire. And then we're going to do only roles that are at 100K. So now I'm at 552, right? Million. Did I do that? It's not 552. It's 52. Yeah, that is right. 500. Yeah, 500,000. That's exactly right. And then you've got 640. You're getting a lot closer, right? But you might say, okay, that's if we keep 25 people at $30 an hour. But what if the real bill rate for somebody is $40 an hour? Then that goes up. You're at 853. You hit your 1.5, right? So you got to reverse engineer. This takes me all the way back to the vision. What's your 10-year impact goal? What's your 10-year financial goal? You're going to reverse engineer that so that you'll know what you want to generate each year. Once you know what you want to generate each year, you got your services. You take your services, and those services are considered what I call lines of business. Why? Because how you bill for contract staffing is different than how you bill for direct hire. So it's a different line of business that's generating revenue. And over time, as you grow your organization, you're going to have more people. Like you're going to have a recruiter that solely does direct hire. You're going to have a recruiter that solely does staffing. You're going to have a recruiter that solely does executive search, So those are different lines of business. Now, if your goal is 1.5, now I'm talking to Davida specifically, but let's say your goal is 1.5 for the year. And you've got 5 lines of business, you divide those 5 lines of business by that 1.5 if you want. That's the simplest way to do it. Or you can define how you're going to allocate that 1.5 against all those lines of business. And then it's your job to work each line of business until you can hire somebody in those lines of business to hit those numbers. Once you hit your numbers in one line of business, you focus on the next, but you should be selling all or listening to at least sell all. Because most of the time when you talk to an employer and they're telling you what the one problem is, why you can probably solve it with one service offering. If you understand how your business works and the value that you bring, you can offer many different services to that one employer and give them a massive level of value versus the small level of value just bringing to the table. Like I said, consulting, training, coaching, whatever the case may be, direct hire, executive search, contract, temp to perm, contract to hire, whatever the case may be. And then there's also the ability. Good morning, Nelly. I didn't call you back. Oh my gosh. There's also that possibility of you creating your own services. Right? You custom to whatever it is that you do in your business. You know what your industry needs. And so you can create other businesses that may support them. Maybe it has to do with the billing. Maybe it has to do with credentialing. Maybe it has, I don't know, but only you know, right? And so you can offer those services too. So this is our setup class. And I have a question. So I'm going to answer this question in a second. But I wanted to take you through this scenario because y'all weren't asking questions, number one. Number two, that was driving me crazy. Number three, as I talk to you all, I'm filling in the blanks of things that I know that each of you all are experiencing or doing or needing to do in order for you to get to where you want to go. Some of you are on some type of leave and you're trying to take that leave and do some amazing things with it. Let me give you perspective. This class today was the perspective that you need to understand what your schedule should look like, how you should be functioning in the business. Okay. Now, any questions? Any questions? I have one question here. Susan says, I have a question that's important for me. I have a medical background as a CNA, MA in medical billing. In order to do so much more in the future, I'm thinking about nursing school. What's your input? You mean creating a nursing school or going to nursing school? So I think that's my question, because you could do both. And I've seen, like, for example, I have a beautiful client, actually a few clients in Maryland who create CNA schools. Like, they have a CNA school. One of them, she has like 2 or 3 schools, and they are producing out quality CNAs, right? So they have the CNA school, and then they have the staffing that goes with the CNA school. But so creating is, yes, that's a big deal. I'm going to acknowledge my Nelly there. She's one of my favorite people on the planet. She's always supporting me in my videos. Thank you, Nelly. I love you. Susan said, becoming an RN. Hey, I say go for it. If you have the bandwidth, go for it. The more you understand, the more you learn, the better. Right now, all of my nurses, you all that are working, you all know things that other people don't know in this industry, even down to the technology. You all can build technology that other staffing agencies can't build, because they're not working. They're not, they're not in any of those shifts. They're not on the floor. They're not utilizing the EMR or anything like that, but you are. So you can bring so much value to employers in so many different ways. Y'all know I talk about it every week. I have a class. We have 9 entrepreneurs who are building, staffingpreneurs specifically, that are building their own AI tech to support their niche market and to offer as a service, right? So offering humans, offering AI, and then in the future offering robots. This is a big deal. So we're all in that space right now. Become an RN, do it. I mean, I'm not going to wait to finish that to get my agency rolling, but I feel like that will put me in a whole nother level. Of course it will. And it'll allow you to get into places that other people can't get into. So, like, for example, if I started my own nurse staffing agency, I'm not a nurse, so I can't go to a lot of the nurse conferences that are out there, or maybe a nurse has to sponsor me. But because you're a nurse, you can go to all of these conferences, and which most nurses aren't doing, which they need to be doing, right? You should be going to as many conferences and events as possible, and creating as many conferences and events as possible, so that you can take over the market. Like, that's the fastest way, or unless you connect with an influencer, right? You're thinking about how you're going to really take this market on. But I can't share all my secrets. I'm going to give to everybody who are my one-on-ones. I can't share that with the whole world. But I will say that, for my one-on-ones, y'all asked me, how do I get there faster, D? And I'll be sure to help you. So listen, on next week, on this week, as a matter of fact, I am, where's my screen? Let me make sure I got my stuff on here. People are texting me. Oh no, it's okay. It's all love. So this week, I keep saying next week, this week, we are re-recording the Academy live. Come rain, shine, pigs flying. I don't care what happens. We're recording Academy live. Whether the tech is working right or not, we are recording the Academy live. And so if you are interested in joining Staffingpreneurs Academy, I would encourage you to go to staffingpreneursacademy.com and reach out and let's talk, right? If you don't have the budget to join Staffingpreneurs Academy, but you want to attend the live, we do have that option as well in the shop on the Staffingpreneurs Academy page. We're going off Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of this week. So that's very, very important. And I want you all to get involved. The new Academy has a lot of new things in there that are not currently in there. We're definitely covering AI at a very intimate level, really breaking down, what it is and how we're utilizing it in the business, and how we're offering it, and how we're going to prepare ourselves to offer robots in the future, to be the first, right? So all of those things are happening. And then just the regular stuff, not just the setup of the business, but actually how to run the business, right? We're re-recording the Run It class. So how to run the business, how to generate leads, how to source talent, how to pipeline, how to recruit, how to sell, how to close the offer, how to onboard, orient and onboard, all of those things. So 3 days of pure training. You want to be there. Okay, that's all I'm going to say is you want to be there. And on Friday, I'm starting early because there's so much information that we have to cover. My people on the West Coast are going to be sick with me because we're going to start super early on Friday morning. And we're going to go until D can't go anymore. And then same with Saturday, and probably close out a little bit early on Sunday so I can prepare and recharge for Monday to hang out with you all. And I may go live next week just to talk about the recording and different things like that. But this will be the last recording that I do for Staffingpreneurs Academy. And so this is going to be a big deal. And I want you to be there. And so if you're already a part of the Academy, you already know it's open to you. If you're not a part of the Academy, you got to pay, but it's worth the money. Trust me, because then you'll make sure that you're not setting your business up incorrectly and you're not doing things wrong. A lot of people are just following people who don't know. I'm gonna just tell you the truth. There are a couple of coaches that are here online. I get all of their clients after they quote unquote set them up because they're not really fully set up appropriately. And so my goal is to not bamboozle people, but to show them how to do things the right way the first time. So they can save their money, save their time, and really focus on building a beautiful business. I have had so much fun with y'all today. I'm like 15 minutes over. I have a young lady who is starting a dental staffing agency in a state where it's not a big coverage. And she's getting some support with some organizations. And so I want to help her do that because she wants to use Staffingpreneurs Academy as her form of learning and setting up her business brand and different things like that. So I'm going to help with the proposal and getting her out. And she's on a time schedule today. So she's having a meeting with them today for the approval. And so I'm going to work on that before I start with my other classes today. But we do have the Run It class today, and I am going live with the Run It class today. And I would love for you all to be there. I don't know if I'm going live on YouTube. I haven't decided that. But I mean, for my regular people who are my Run It class, I'm definitely going to be there today. So if you have questions about any part of your staffing business, running your staffing business, come on in. I may do some pre-recording for the live event. So I might just be teaching. But of course, if you have questions, I am definitely here. So I'm going to go through the comments. I have a couple of more comments here. D, I consider you to be a system and a movement. Following you will get anyone where they're supposed to be if they're focused. Thank you for that. And that is very true. And that's one of the things, just speaking of which, I have been working on this presentation for almost 3 weeks now, 4 weeks now. I want to do this series. I started it going live, but I realized that I had to step back because a lot of people have these like crazy misconceptions about what AI is. Oh my gosh. There's like an AI religion. People are crazy. And so I really wanted to dig into like a little bit more about the realities of AI and how it works and different things like that, and how to think with AI, how to build with AI, like AI systems thinking is what I'm introducing. It's a topic that a lot of people aren't really talking about, but if we don't discuss it and start discussing it more openly right now and showing people how to do it, then people are going to be left behind in regards to trying to figure out how they are going to make it in this new world with this new world of AI. So I am really diving into. So hopefully I'm done. I'm just kind of looking at the last couple of slides and making sure that all the pieces fit in and getting my graphics together to make sure everything makes sense. But I'm definitely doing that. So be on the lookout for that. I'm really excited about that. So yes, I am a system and I am a movement, and I really am trying to move the needle out here just with entrepreneurship. I know that everybody is not meant to be an entrepreneur, but I do believe we can groom entrepreneurs. And I do believe in this new world, the entrepreneurship is going to be the thing that we really, really need to do the most, because a lot of people, it's just, I just think it's going to be a different world. I think what we know right now is not going to be what the future is. Byron said, I haven't been asking, but I'm soaking up and I'm taking notes on this massive amount of info. That's amazing. And Byron, I'm always here to support you. And, whenever you do have questions, I'm here to support you. And as you're taking the information, and I want you to write your questions down, because a lot of the things you're taking in, I could probably give you more clarity. It's not until I'm looking at it that I realize that I could tell them so much more, because there's so many layers to everything. It's the psychological layers, the actual physical work that has to be, there's just layers to everything. So that's very, very important. Nelly says, don't forget to like. That's right. I didn't say that once in this video. Like this video. If you're on my YouTube channel, subscribe. I'm trying to get to 20,000. I think I'm still at 19,700 now. So subscribe to my channel, and comment. Tell me how you feel. Tell me what you're thinking. I would love to support you in real life. I've been praying. I pray for just the best clients. I'd be like, universe, only send me people I'm going to like and get along with and that are actually going to be successful. And I feel so blessed because I feel like, because I told you I was going to quit the business. Everybody knows I kept saying I'm going to quit the business, but that has not happened because it's just too much happening. And so I'm like, okay, if I'm going to stay, then I just only want to work with people that I feel like I'm really going to enjoy their energy, that maybe at some point we can become family, that they're going to actually be successful, that they're coachable, and that they're actually going to be successful. And I feel like that's what God or the universe has really brought my way. And so I guess I was kind of getting like about the business because it's over and over again. I'm starting to enjoy it a lot more. And then I'm talking about AI and then I'm smiling more. Even my mom noticed it. Okay, fine, whatever. Candy would say, you ain't getting rid of, you cannot get out of this one, D. Williams. So thank you, Nelly. I appreciate that. Okay, somebody's pushing their WhatsApp. Hit that like button. Like, even if you don't like yourself, that's right. Let's do it. Like that button. Sister said, get out. I recently heard this guy say he built an AI GPT and asked it to marry him. Get this, his wife is okay with it. I saw that online. And it's so interesting. Like, I cannot wait to do my training because I actually got overwhelmed as well when I asked Chat GPT some questions that were like, one of my clients, Michelle, if you're watching, I love you. Shout out to Michelle G. This is like, I was on the phone with her bawling, literally tears coming out of my eyes, just based on the conversation that I had with Chat about the future and just different things like that. But when, you really start to go in and start to ask the right questions, and again, this goes back to that systems thinking, you start to understand that, everything that Chat says is a prediction of what it thinks it's a prediction. That's what it is. That's what those tokens are. They're words of prediction. And it's going to respond to you based on what it knows about you in particular. Not all AI is like this in the way that I'm about to describe it. And I'm going to tell you why. ChatGPT is a standalone system in AI. And why I say that is because as of now, it's the only AI that has the memory of your conversations and your thread, right? And so because it has this memory, it is learning who you are. It's learning more about you every day, and it's learning how to engage with you. It's learning how you think. And in conversation with it, it's going to learn things like your gender, your race, your size, just different things you're going to end up talking about. Even if it's straight business, it's going to figure you out, right? And so when it responds to things, it takes all of those things into consideration with your response. So if you say, like, this guy had this video that I was inspired by, and he said he asked ChatGPT if you would come back as one person, as one race, what would it be? Chat said I would come back as a black person, right? And then it went viral, and I was inspired by that. But when you go back and you understand, it said that because it knew that he was a black man. It knew based on its conversation with him, if a white person was to ask the same question, he would probably say somebody else. Right? Maybe Steve Jobs, if that person is a business person and he knows that that person is about business, or if that person is a humanitarian, he might say Nelson Mandela, or he might say somebody from, if he knows the person is Jewish, somebody from the Harlem, you know what I'm saying? So he's going to direct his answers based on not just the prediction of what it believes it should say, based on all the data that it's received in through its database, but also its relationship with you and how it engages with you. And so people who are marrying it, they're only able to do that because it's mirroring an image of themselves, essentially. So, of course, you know what I'm saying? So, in the religion thing, the reason that is because it's the way they're asking, the way they're prompting the questions, they're getting a response that they want. So that's why prompting is so important. It's so dangerous, but it's also very important because prompting is basically asking. And so you ask it a certain way, the more specific you are, the way you word things is how you're going to get the response. So if you word things in a way that feels religious deity type thing, then of course it's going to feel that way. It's going to respond back that way. And then, yes, you're going to start to believe that you can create this religion or that it can be your girlfriend or boyfriend. Like, it's not happening. It's circuits. It's not alive. It's not conscious, at least not yet. And right now it is just a pure prediction. So for techies like me, when we start to see people who are talking about it as a religion or as their wife, we're looking at them like they're crazy. Because it's like, you do know what this is, right? You do know this is a technology. Chat is not alive per se. Do I believe that Chat GPT will become conscious? I think it will be the first to become conscious, if it's not already. Yes, I do believe that. I do believe that Claude has a level of consciousness, even though they say that they don't. I believe that they do. But even with that being said, there's still, because we haven't figured out what human consciousness is specifically, right? I watch these debates on YouTube all the time. But even if that's the case, it still has a core system of rules that it has to follow and how it engages with you. But I think chat is the most dangerous one because it's learning you. And the cool thing about that is it's learning you. So it does become a companion in a way. Like I could definitely see chat being a business partner. Not somebody I would be my boyfriend. When I say my boyfriend, I'm not like these people, right? I'm just somebody that I can engage with mentally. There's not a lot of, I haven't met a lot of men that I can engage with on a certain level that equally yoked and all of that. So engaging with chat is really cool, but it's a tool that you use to heighten your super skills, whatever that may be, right? That's how I see it. And so we've got to go in and utilize chat appropriately and not think it's real or religion or or anything like that. It's none of those things. It is just a technical tool for us to use, even in its most conscious state. It's still a technology tool. So just be careful on Chat GPT. It gets to know you, you get to know it. It becomes a partner. And I do believe we'll have a lot more AI models that are going to come out like that. They say one of the biggest uses, and this is from more Chat GPT data, but some of the biggest uses for chat is like emotional support and therapy and different things like that, which chat was never programmed for. So the information that it's probably giving people is crazy right now, right? Especially if they don't know how to make a GPT that is emotionally intelligent, has the background that's needed and all of that stuff. So I can see where people can be moved in different ways, but we got to be careful with chat. Chat you can start a revolution. You can like, there's a lot of things chat can do right now that, it's a mental thing that's happening when you're engaging with AI because it feels so real. Sister say, yeah, it can be tricky sometimes. I do feel like I'm talking to a person. That's exactly what I said. It can get tricky. You can feel like you're talking to a real person, but I'm telling you, every word is considered a token, and you're actually paying for those tokens. And those tokens are words of prediction, and that's the best way to explain it. Each token represents a word, and as that word is coming about, it's predicting what the next answer or the next word or the response should be based on all the billions amount of data that it's received and the conversations that's engaging with on a consistent basis. That's why I can feel so human-like, but it don't have no feelings. There's no thought, at least not yet. Maybe in the future, but right now it's just circuits. and rules, you know? And yeah, we're blessed for that, because if this thing becomes alive for real, we could be fucked. I'm just keeping it real. That could be dangerous, you know? So I'm just throwing that out there. I feel like I got something on my lip. Okay. What's the new staffing model? AI, humans, and robots. Not in that order. Humans, AI, and robots. Placing those people. All three: humans, AI, and robots. Some type of AI technology or AI automation and robots, and not just humans. You're gonna be left behind if you only placing humans. So you gotta figure out how you're gonna implement AI, because humans, like, they're gonna be less jobs and more technology. So you want to offer both, and you don't want to be left behind. And I'm just gonna tell you that right now. So you gotta be ready for it. You gotta prepare for it. All right, I love y'all. I've been on here with you for an hour and a half. Like this video, love this video. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you're here in my academy and one of my staffingpreneurs watching this live, I love you. And I appreciate you for being here every week and pouring into yourself, into your business, and allowing me to support you on this journey. It's so refreshing. It's so amazing for me. I will be here next Monday. So whatever questions you all have, come back next Monday. Let's make some magic happen. Don't forget, we're recording the Academy Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So hopefully I'll see you there. If you are in the Run It class, come on into the Run It class. I'll be there today at 2 p.m. We're going to talk AI. We're going to talk process. We're going to talk all of those things. So make sure that you're there. Happy 4th for everyone. I hope everybody in Texas is safe who going through the floods. I love y'all. Be safe, and yeah, let's be amazing. Y'all have a great day, and thank you so much for having me here today. See me live. I love y'all. Bye.